What's going on, everybody? It's Josh, aka the Muslim Muscle,
Yeah, boy, cousin Creamy coming at you.
and we're gonna try and be a little quicker on this one because we have a tendency for running over. We're
We
just
are
friends. We're great
horrible.
friends. We're just great friends, and we take too long. All right, topic of the day. I'm letting Colin take over because that allowed me to just rant later.
Yeah, so topic of today is going to do a lot with productive off season and what it means to actually have a productive off season rather than just packing on body fat unnecessarily.
Cool. Let's preface this. As always, for those who are new, for those who are not new, like, comment, share, subscribe. It helps us. We don't make anything off this. We're kind of just doing this to do it. But it'd be really cool if we got like subscribers and likes and comments and stuff like that so that we know what you guys are watching. Let's be real, we're getting like 4 views of fucking video.
Nah, bullshit. There's like 40 when I saw.
I don't rewatch them. So, but like, share, comment, subscribe, all that fun stuff. If we can help you, that's kind of what the goal is. We don't have a real destination. It's not like we're trying to make money off this. We're just trying to help people get our names out there a little bit and see what happens. Um,
And
Also, yeah,
with that
obviously, with
said,
that
if
said,
there's anything you guys want to hear us kind of talk about, oh my God, dude, my Wi-Fi is jacked.
no, you're good. You're good. All right. If there's anything you guys want to hear us talk about, just
There you
comment
go.
below, DM us, whatever it is. Let's get into it. So, bodybuilding is simple. This is why it's not a sport. This is why it's a hobby. To get better at bodybuilding, you have a couple things that you need. You need to sleep well. You need to eat your food. You need to train hard. You need to recover well, which is kind of sleeping at the same time. So, nutrition, water, food, quality of nutrients, sleep or recovery, sleep, your rest, your stress levels, things of that nature, and training. Hit that with a sledgehammer, feel me? So let's get into each one. So both of us are having productive off seasons. We're gonna keep it a buck, and I'm calling Colin out. Sometimes things slip a little bit. Things slip a little bit. Now, the way that you set your life up is going to change that. Now, things happen. We're not going to get into the specifics. It's Colin's personal life. I'm not sharing what's going on with him. But when things slip, your routine is what can get you back on track. Your discipline is what can get you back on track. So when you sit there and you say, uh, you know, XYZ came up, I'm not able to get this done. The fact that you have the backbone and discipline is what's going to get you back on track. So starting off, let's talk about nutrition. Let's talk about, everyone says like, oh, don't skip any meals, don't miss any meals. But again, shit happens. So prioritizing off season, trying to have the best off season possible. Colin, I'll let you hit this because as days have gone on, meals haven't been hit 100%. Things are going on. Again, I'm not going to get into your personal life. You can share as much as you want, but
Yeah.
I'm just trying to segue you into it.
Yeah, no. The one thing I can say is that there are times where shit kind of goes haywire in your life, or it can at least, and the only thing you can really do is make the most of it. But at the same time, you can't look at it as, for instance, like the scale's going down, and be like, oh, I'm not making progress, I'm not doing this, I'm not doing that. The scale going down, it's not necessarily the automatic, like, oh, we need to push like an extra 2,000 calories of food. Like, obviously, you want the scale moving up, but you also don't want the scale jumping like crazy. So, at the same time, you don't want to make missed meals up with cheat meals. And the thing is, if you miss a meal one day, don't just automatically jump to, oh, I need to get my weight back up. Like, yeah, it's always good to see your weight going and trending in the correct direction. But at the same time, you don't want to make that direct correlation like, oh, I dropped 2 pounds, I need a cheat meal, or I dropped this, I need this. You don't want to substitute things in. You want to keep things as steady as possible. But when it comes into anything that really happens in your life, again, I just went through something, not really going to get into it, but it's more so to the fact that I was kind of down and out for about 5 days or so. And then from there, you're able to kind of pick it back up and be able to make that progress up for those lost days. So again, it's not me throwing in, 3 burgers and a bunch of ice cream to make up the 5 pounds that I dropped or 6, 7, 8 pounds that I dropped. It's more just, okay, I dealt with it, I figured it out, get the fuck back on track, and then keep progressing from there. It's not, oh, let's make up this lost time with extra calories that are just going to pack on body fat. It's being able to assess where you're at. Okay, this is where I am. This is where I need to be. This is what I have to do to get there, and then be able to progress from there.
Awesome. And me and Colin are very similar in a lot of ways, and we're also very different in a lot of ways. Again, not just going to get into our differences, but I am very one track minded. If the priority is bodybuilding, I'm going to get it done. I'm going to try to figure out a way to get it done. So, with that said, in a scenario that Colin was going through, obviously things happen. We can't turn around and preface that, but there are little ways to make sure that you are getting what you want to out of it. So, on a situation, throw out some numbers for me, protein, carbs, fats for like a typical meal for you.
Carbs, say 120, fats, 7, protein around 55.
Cool. Delilah's under my leg. That's why I just smiled. So, in a scenario of the sort, meals aren't made because other priorities are going on, but there's a 7-Eleven down the way. There's a Speedway around the block. How can we do something along those lines? So I always say to have, and this is my own don't miss mentality. I have a food scale, I have an air fryer, and I have oats in my car at all times
Hmm.
because 40 grams of oats is going to be 27 grams of protein and about 2 grams of fat.
27 grams of carbs.
There we go. Sorry. Um, so the whole idea is like 120 grams of carbs. We're probably going to supplement that fat, or we're going to supplement some carbs in from like fruit or something along the lines. Again, you go to a 7-Eleven, you can get the little fruit cup. And if you have a food scale, you can make it perfect. But like realistically, a cup of fruit is not going to throw you so crazily over your amount that is a big deal. And realistically, like I'm not putting whey, oats, and pineapple together. That's just not happening. It's not going to taste good. So I'm probably going to buy the apple and just cut the apple up. But there are ways to make it so that even if you don't hit the meal exactly what it's supposed to be, you can come pretty close. And the idea of consistency and having a constant influx of nutrients in an off season, in a time where you're trying to grow, even if it's not enough, is going to be more beneficial than full blown missing that meal and then later on going out and saying, you know what, I'm just going to go to Five Guys and put in 2,000 calories. So there are opportunities of this sort to turn around and go to a place that's, not the best idea, but make good options, and make good choices to move in the right direction.
Yeah. No, I definitely agree with that, but also kind of to piggyback off of that when, like you said about the five guys, the one thing I will say, if you're in a true off-season setting and you're packing on tissue, you're packing on fat, the one thing I will say is that a lot of people don't really take an off-season. I wouldn't necessarily make the word out to be serious, but they're so scared of putting on body fat that, let's say you went through a contest prep, you got thick skin lean, and then you reverse out, do your thing, and then you want to go into a true off season and grow because you have, let's say, 15 pounds of your weight cap you got to cover. People are too scared to put on body fat where they get to the point where, their abs are getting blurred, lines aren't necessarily as deep, and then all of a sudden, oh, I got to pull back on the food. And then that just kind of creates a really bad relationship with food, but also with yourself, being that, you're not putting yourself in an optimal place to really grow. And the worst part is when people do end up going through an off season, they don't like to sit at that peak weight because, you're hefty. So like for me, my peak weight, I don't know what it's going to be, but let's just say 215, 220 is my peak weight this next push up or this push up, and I don't sit there and I just automatically cut down to like 205 again. That tissue that you're trying to accumulate, that new tissue that's there, if you just cut it out, you're not going to be able to really retain much of it because you need some form of a homeostasis period where you're sitting there and just letting that tissue just sit in and really um formulate to your body. Because I'm sorry, there's a lot of times where people go they'll just go peak bulk, peak cut, and they'll just like this kind of the same Sullick approach. Not to say that he's making fucking
He's a freak.
phenomenal progress.
He's
He's
a
a
freak,
freak,
genetic freak.
but it's not many people can do that where they just bulk up for like 2 weeks at it and then cut down and then bulk again and then cut down. It doesn't really happen. So you kind of have to sit at that peak weight, let your body really acclimate to that tissue, the new tissue that's on there. And then once you're, I'd say a month in, a good month of sitting at that weight, a couple pounds up or down. All right, yeah, then you can start to pull back a little bit on the food.
Right. I 100% agree. I don't call it a homeostasis period or a maintenance phase. I, whenever it's a client, whenever it's myself, I mean, perfect example is me right now. I'm praying that this is peak bulk. I'm praying that this is the weight, the heaviest that I get. My weight cap is 217, 224, somewhere in between there. My current weight is 254. So I have 37 pounds to lose to make my lower weight cap. And Delilah, 30 pounds to lose to make my higher weight cap. I've been sitting at 254 now for almost a week and a half. I know that this is not the end of the bulk. We're probably going to go up. But my goal right now is to stay around this 254 and lean out or get leaner while maintaining this weight. So if I can lean out per se, that would mean that I'm adding tissue to my frame and losing body fat, whether it's a half pound, a quarter pound, doesn't matter. It's going to show, and you could see it in the pictures week to week. And that's why it's nice to take pictures on several occasions throughout the week, pre-workout, post-workout, fasted, not fasted, whatever you choose to do. Just try to make it consistent. Multiple times will allow for that. So long story short, too long didn't read. When you get to a peak bulk or on your way up to a peak bulk, don't just pull down because you don't like how you look. There is a substantial ability or a substantial benefit in getting uncomfortable, staying uncomfortable. Because if you allow your body to sit at a heavier point with the more muscle added, it's going to be a lot long. It's going to take a lot longer for that to come off. Now, I figure that the people who watch this have an idea of who Hani Rambod is or Derek Lunsford is. And Hani said last year after the Olympia, one of the reasons that Derek did not, and not 2024, but 2023, uh, because who knows when people will watch this. One of the reasons that Derek didn't have a ton of chest striations is because that's just very new muscle.
Yeah.
It did not have the time to mature. Now, personally, my own belief is that like muscle maturity is kind of a fallacy. But the longer muscles on your frame, the more detailed it will become to get, or it will get because it's just been there for longer and it's used more. And maybe that's the whole tenets of muscle maturity. And I don't think it's fallacy. I'm just describing it differently than I've ever heard it. But when you have that new tissue, then the more tissue, because as soon as you get into a cut, let's be real, when you start getting flat, some of that tissue is going to come off. You shouldn't lose muscle in a prep, but like when you cut,
It's pretty inevitable.
you're going to lose muscle tissue simply for the fact of you are breaking down muscle fibers, they are recovering, but you don't have enough fuel to fully recover that muscle tissue. So allowing that tissue to hold while you're in a recovery surplus will benefit you long term. You will hold more muscle tissue long term. That muscle will stick per se. So, with that said, and because we got into a recovery surplus, let's get into the recovery side of it. So, I'll start this one off just simply because I posted it on my story today. Sleep is paramount. Anybody who believes that like sleep is not what's going to get you to the next level is wrong. If you sleep, you recover. You allow your body to be in a lower heart rate, you are going to allow for nutrients to flow better. You are going to be in a better spot. Stress is going to be lower. If you're one of those people who somehow gets stressed out in the middle of your sleep, see a therapist. You have to have a conversation with somebody because there's something going on that's a bigger fish to fry that you might not be connecting those dots. So just think about that for a little bit. But when you have adequate nutrition, when you are sleeping well, when you are taking the little things like getting body work done or foam rolling or stretching or whatever your recovery modality may be. And here's a little hint to whatever makes your body feel good. If body work works, cool. If going for a walk works, cool. The idea of recovery needs to be a stress mitigation more than it needs to be, oh, I need to go and get my body beat up. I need a cold plunge. I need a sauna. What makes you feel good? What allows for your brain to say, I'm in a good spot?
Yeah. It's the worst is when people are like, you have to do that. Like, for instance, you have to go get body work. You have to do a cold plunge. You have to do the sauna. You have to do it. Dude, I'm sorry. I'm not like everyone else. When I'm in a sauna, I feel like I want to die. I'm sitting there miserable. It's like, yeah, great. You're sweat. Dude, I fucking can't stand it. I cause more of a raising of cortisol than it is a release of anything. I'm just releasing fucking water from my body, but on the inside, I'm like, I'm fucking miserable. And you said it perfectly. You want to find things that work best for you because if it makes you feel good, you're going to perform so much better in the gym. You're going to be able to sleep a lot better. You're going to feel a lot better throughout the day. You don't want to do things to your body and don't get me wrong, if it's your first time trying it, it is what it is. You don't know. It's the unknown for you. But if you try it once and you fucking hate it, don't do it for the sake of recovery because it's not going to help you recover. It's going to raise cortisol levels. And at that point, you're not going to be able to put yourself in an optimal position. I hate that fucking word. An optimal position to recover, grow tissue, whatever the case may be. You want to do things. And I'm sorry, if none of those work for you and you don't do it because it just doesn't make you feel good, don't do it. It's as simple as that. You don't have to spend the money on body work. You don't, as great as people make it out to be, you don't have to do these things. There's been plenty of pros bred throughout that. I'm sorry if they didn't want to do it, didn't have the money to do it. Don't feel like you have to put yourself in a hole for the sake of recovery. Sleep is the pinnacle of recovery. As long as you can sleep and go into a real deep sleep for a good 2 to 3 hours and REM, you're gonna put yourself in a beautiful position because I'm sorry, my entire prep, I didn't do body work. I foam rolled, I stretched, I didn't do body work, I didn't do saunas, I didn't do cold plunges. I slept a minimum of 8 hours every single night. And that right there showed me how crucial sleep is because the preps prior, my cortisol was super high. I wasn't sleeping a lot. Even when it came to the point where I was 2 weeks out, dug the fuck out, just very fatigued. As long as my sleep was on par, no matter what, I could go in and perform at the highest level that I could possibly do for the next day.
I 100% agree. I was somebody who during prep, yeah, she's being very annoying.
She's a
Um,
person.
I 100% during prep was getting a lot of body work done. Um, if for anyone who does not know, I have torn an ACL. Um, so my knee will get a little bogged down every once in a while. Body work is one of the things that helps me get back. Now, we'll get into this whenever I get Coach Backs on here, but knee problems are normally not from the knee. The knee does one thing, it hinges. It's like a door hinge. If you try to twist the door hinge, you're gonna break the
Snap.
door. So therefore, I needed to get my hips worked on. I needed to get my calves worked on. My knee was pretty generally fine after that. So body work helps for me. Saunas help for me. It allows me to think better. I like high stress situations in that aspect, something where the environment changes to make me a little bit uncomfortable. I'm very comfortable there. Colin's not. That's cool because neither one of us needs to do what the other needs to do in order to make progress. Maybe
No.
I should be doing what Colin's doing because he plays higher than me. But at the end of the day, like what works for you is what works for you. Stretching might work for you, stretching might not work for you. You might have a belly and you can't touch your toes. Stretching ain't gonna be it for you, bro. That's just what it is. So, and realistically, recovery is cool. Nutrition's cool. But anyone can eat in a calorie surplus, and anyone can go in a sauna or a cold tub and get body work done. But not everybody is putting on muscle.
Yeah. Okay. I'm gonna kind of jump ship on this one. And so I don't know why this thought just came to my head, but when you said nutrition, what kills me the most in today's day and age is the whole idea around the different fad diets, the carnivore, the animal, the this, the that. This has a direct correlation to the same thing as recovery. If it works for you, do it. I hate when people put like this was me 1 year ago eating whatever the case may be, processed foods and inflamed and this and that. It's like, no. Like, yeah, okay, fine. And then like the year later, they're on an animal-based, not inflamed, eating fruit and honey as their carbs and sourdough. Again, if it works for you, let it stick. Don't just jump ship to a fad diet because you see someone else doing great. If shit's working, don't change it. There's no reason. And I'm sorry. No, they were inflamed, but you're telling me that all these people were eating exactly what they said that they were eating? No, I'm sorry. Most of the time they post their meal of the day or their full day of eating, and then who knows what they're going to eat after. They could be stuffing their fucking face with fast food. They could be stuffing their face with excess calories. And no, they weren't just inflamed, they were fat. And that's why they seemed inflamed. And now that they're on a animal-based diet, they're all healthy. I'm sorry. Healthy is proclaimed to the person itself. Like people look at me as healthy. I'm probably one of the most unhealthy people. The caffeine consumption, the nicotine, the shit that I do to my body. Yeah, I might look great on the outside, but internally, they have no idea what's going on
There's
under
some
the
shit
hood.
going on.
Yeah, but again, it's like health can be just determined by that sole person. Because if shit's working for you, I'm sorry, I eat 200 grams of cereal a day
Must be nice.
minimum. So it's like if you see the processed carbs going into my body, people, that's not optimal. Motherfucker, I'm growing the most I've ever grown, eating 200 grams of cereal every single day than when I was eating rice and oatmeal and cleaner foods. It
What's your
works for
fasted blood glucose?
my fasted blood glucose.
Yeah,
Eight-
average, roundabout.
82, 82.
So he's eating refined sugars and processed foods and still rocking an 82.
Again, it's being able to manage everything that you can because again, I'm hitting my meals, I'm eating nothing else but my meals. And this is why I'm in the position I'm in. I'm still relatively lean. I'm packing on a shitload of tissue and making tremendous progress, but that's because I have a goal set. I know what I have to do. I'm ticking all the boxes. I'm eating nothing more and nothing less. If coach says go get a free meal, I go get a free meal. I don't fuck off and go eat a pizza to myself. I go get a burger, fry, and a dessert if I want it. I don't always want it. So I don't always have it.
Boom. And I'm going to throw some SAT words in there. There are indisputable laws of thermodynamics. The indisputable law of thermodynamics when it comes to body composition and body fat management. If you eat more than you burn, you gain fat. If you eat less than you burn, you lose fat. Pretty fucking simple. Complex, but simple. So if someone's sitting there and they're saying, "Oh, I was eating, chicken and rice last year and I was gaining weight," you were eating too much chicken and rice.
Yeah.
Simple. If you were eating chicken and rice and you were losing weight, you were eating too little of chicken and rice if the goal was to gain weight. So it's like, I don't care what you're on, I don't care what you do, as long as we can simplify nutrition down to this. If you look at it and you can tell what the fuck it is, it's probably the right idea. I could tell you I look at a frosted flake and do I know exactly what it is? No, but general gist is going to tell me it's some version of a carb. I'm going to guess corn. I know it is corn, but I'm going to guess something along those lines because it's similar to other things you've seen, right? Like if you were to flatten out and roast a piece of popcorn, kind of sort of would look like a frosted flake. Just saying. So if you've never thought about it that way, maybe you need to smoke more weed. Um, but hey, we can get into it now, and this is probably the most fun part, and the thing that you get into this for training,
Training, baby.
lifting, mother flipping weights. I'm trying to curb my cursing because obviously, by the way, YouTube's coming soon. This gets posted on my YouTube. Actual YouTube content coming soon where I try to curb my cursing even more. It doesn't work. But either way, training. I'll tell you the biggest, most important thing when it comes to training. And it's a year ago, I would have said something different. Right now, I'm going to say it just as simple as this. What do you have fun doing? What can you take to the brink of hell? And what can you repeat the next time? Every time you walk into the gym, the reason that we grow muscle tissue, and this can get long-winded, so cut me off if it needs to be cut off.
I got you.
The reason that our bodies, I like to bring things back to the Paleolithic era. So hunter-gatherers fighting for our lives, no real shelter ideas. Our bodies grew muscle tissue because we were in a state that if that same thing happened again, we were going to die. The body needs to adapt. There needs to be a reason for it to adapt. So if you think about it, when you're under a bench press, because this is the best idea because everyone's been crushed by a bar before, haven't, go harder. You got to feel it. It sucks. If you turn around and you put 135 on the bar and you're very new to the gym and it comes down, hits your chest, pins you, staples you to the ball, to the bench. I personally would rather no one come over and help and me have to figure it out. Some people want to get saved. Everyone has their own idea. But the next time that you get under that bar, your body knows that it was not able to do it last time. It has to adapt. Now, it might not be able to do the 135 this time. It might have been able to do 105, but it has to adapt to allow for that. So if you're not in the gym causing an adaptation, that's rule number one. You have to get it done. The other one, having fun. If you hate lifting weights,
This shit ain't
it ain't
for
for
you.
you. You don't need to force a square peg into a round hole. It's just not going to happen. Everyone can lift weights. Everyone can move their bodies. Pick what you like and run it.
Yeah, that is. I really think that's what kills most people is that they don't love training. Um, I, for some reason, and yourself as well, love to inflict pain on yourself. And, in the moment, shit sucks, but you love it. You get in there every day. You know that you're going to bury yourself in a hack squat. You know you're going to row until you feels like your lat is going to fly out of the gym. You want to be able to put yourself under a barbell, under dumbbells, where it's like either you're going to press this or you're dead. And, it seems a bit extensive or a bit, what's the word? A bit much, but at the same time, this is what we do and this is what we love. So really, it's like competing is the second half of what we love to do. We love training. We love to progress. We love to get stronger. We love to get bigger. And with that comes the competition side. Yeah, diet sucks, but you buy into it. You love training. So even in a deficit, you know that you're willing to put yourself to hell and back because even if you're on low food, low carbs, it doesn't matter. You're willing to do what you have to do because you love to train and you love to put yourself through that.
I'll even put it this way. I post a lot of my training. Colin see me train. I have no idea I mean, I have an idea, but I don't harp on the fact of where I'm at when it comes to weights or progression in an off season. I know I'm going to get stronger if I take that thing to hell. When in prep, logbook is out.
Yeah.
Reason being is that there is 100 by 9. Well, I'm a little bit lighter this week, but I'll be damned if I'm not getting that 10th rep. If it's something like a deadlift, I want my, I'm going to use round numbers here, 500 pounds to move for 8 when I'm at 250, and I want it to move for 8 when I'm at 220, because that 220 is going to be a lot stronger than that 250 is. And therefore, that means I either held tissue or, depending on extracurriculars, I wish I could make like the SpongeBob thing. Um, Maybe I gained a little bit of tissue. Now that tissue is not going to hold on for very long. Like we just said, you're inevitably going to lose tissue in a prep, but maybe I gain a little bit of tissue in that short term. So that's where I see the benefit of it. And again, when it comes down to the training aspect, the having fun with training, drop sets, intensifiers, things like that, they might not be optimal. They might not be the best thing for, gaining muscle tissue. People might not love them. I'll tell you this, when you get into a set and you take it to the brink of hell and your training partner looks at you and they're like, yo, take a plate off, go again. And you're like, yo, you can absolutely go fuck yourself 3 times. but you do it anyway, and you hop off that machine, there is a sense of accomplishment. There's a sense of feeling that like nothing else can match.
Yeah.
I've been on the highest highs. I've played on very, very big stages in football. Scoring a touchdown in a championship game is a very similar feeling to hitting a PR on a Dumb Things with Friends set. I'll tell you that right now. Because guess what? At the end of the day, other than you and maybe the people immediately around you, no one gives a fuck. It's all internal. It's how you look at it. Like, hey, I got 10 on a bicep curl this week. I got 9 last week. Yo, if you count that as a massive win, that's a massive win.
Yeah.
It's all beauty's in the eye of the beholder, and training comes down to the fact of like, what's sustainable? What can you repeat time over time? A lot of people who get into this sport are running from something or hiding from something. I'm a perfect example. I'm not getting into it. Colin, you know exactly what it is. I'm a perfect example. I'm running from something. I'm trying to figure out where the limit is when I'm training. I am trying to die under a bar. That is not an exaggeration because I want to find out where the limit is. If you find out where the limit is, you take one half notch back. Guess what? Unless you got rhabdo, unless you're in the hospital, you'll never find the limit.
Yeah. That's and that's to kind of piggyback off of that. Anybody can train hard when they're recording in the gym. Anybody can train hard when you're with your friends. Anybody can train hard when everyone's looking at you. It's real and like it's cliche, but at the same time, it really truly matters when no one's there, when the camera's off, when no eyes are on you. How far are you willing to push yourself? How is that set really to failure, or did you have two more reps? Did you really feel like you put in your all, or are you leaving some on the table? You
And
know,
you can
you
fake it on camera.
oh, 1000%. And that's the thing. People can say they PR'd eight reps, and that eighth rep, they're fucking shaking and no, no, no. You have to be willing to fucking die for this shit. And I'm sorry, if you're really pushing yourself to the brink of it, it'll show that next season. If you're a competitor, it'll show how many times. Because I'm sorry, if you didn't record yourself whatsoever and you come back a fucking menace, yeah, you put yourself through hell that off season to grow and really pack on substantial amounts of tissue. But it's those who look the same every fucking year. And I'm sorry, they're the ones who are the most popular on Instagram. They have excess amount of subscribers. They have excess amount of support because no matter what, if they win or lose, they're always going to have that people. Oh, you'll get them next time. Oh, you'll get them next time. You still looked great. Those are the ones who still look the same year after year after year. And I'm sorry, those are the ones who are chasing a pro card year after year after year. And eventually, yeah, they'll get it. But it's for those who are willing to make a substantial change in 1 year's time. If you take a look at my progress, and not trying to like choke my own ego here, but my first year of prep, my first prep ever to my third prep ever, it looks like I gained 15 pounds of tissue. I was lighter this year than I've ever been in a prep, but I was the biggest I've ever been. I was the leanest I've ever been. And that's because I was willing to put myself through hell and back. And I'm only so excited for what's to come next year because ever since coming up to Long Island and training with Josh, I now I now know what I was leaving on the table. I know how hard I have to go because I know what I'm capable of doing now because he was able to push me to that brink. He was to the point where I was ready to throw up every single day that I trained with him. It felt like shit was tearing. But no, that's just the burn and the will and the need to push further, to grow and pack on as much tissue as you needed to make substantial changes for that next season in not a year's time. I'm sorry, I'm only going to have like a 5 month off season. So how much tissue can I put on in 5 months to be able to portray that and show that on stage next year to show the substantial changes that I'm going to make to my upper body?
Dope. I got like 4 points, so I'm pretty much going to finish us out. We got about 3.5 minutes.
Go for it.
All right, so Kyrie Cooper said it, and he got it from someone else, but I'm shouting out Kyrie because it's my guy. When you get into a set, you have the next 30 to 60 seconds, depending on how long the set is, where it's just you and how long and how hard you're willing to go. Make each one count. Make every second of it count. Don't rest. Don't sit there and say, I just want to get to 10. So like reps 4, 5, 6 all suck. Like make them count. Um, Another thing with training, uh, you know this because this was a epiphany that happened this week. You could have the perfect plan on paper. You could also be doing the perfect plan incorrectly and make abnormal progress. From the time that I stepped on stage to now has been Colin keeps track of the weeks. I don't keep track of the weeks.
17 weeks, baby.
17 weeks, I put on about 53 pounds. 2 of those weeks, I stayed the same weight of 201. So 15 weeks, I put on 53 pounds. Abnormal, shouldn't do it. More than 3 pounds a week, don't do that. Somehow it's worked. Why has it worked? Mainly probably because I have an undying urge to see what's possible. It's not like I'm pushing drugs crazy hard. I'm not pushing food crazy hard. I just get in the gym and I want to train hard. I found out this week that I am probably training way harder than I'm supposed to be. I have a lot of sets I'm supposed to do, and I take every single one to failure. Not supposed to be doing that. Don't care. Not changing it. I'd rather turn around and have to force myself into a deload than to take sets off or just get a pump. No, I don't fuck with that. I don't like it. I hate it. Um, you said something else that I had another point on. Can't remember it. Doesn't matter. At the end of the day, to have the best off season possible, do what feels good. Eat the food that you can. If things come up, try to find ways to make it work. If not, don't stress it because having a higher stress is not going to allow for a better recovery. And make sure that you are taking your time with your process. Don't rush anything. Don't think because you hopped in a cold plunge that you'll be able to train legs because you trained legs yesterday. Don't think that because you hopped in a sauna, you're able to eat a little bit more food because you burn some more calories. Take your time with the process. Make sure that you're doing things right. And just keep showing up. Consistency over everything at the end of the day.
Yep,
With
because
that said, the Mo's the muscle,
because
leaving you
gravy.
on a great point, I think. Colin, sign him out.
Thank you guys for showing up for another episode of the Next Up podcast. We have no idea what we're going to get into next week, but if it's anything of this nature, maybe we'll have a guest, maybe we won't, maybe you'll just see our two beautiful faces yet again. But as always, thank you guys. Make sure you like, share, subscribe, and we'll see you
Comment, ring the
next.
bell.
Oh yeah, and ring a bell. But we will see you guys next week for our next episode.
Get money. Peace.
Peace.